a land filled with rural beauty and renowned for urban grandeur. Texas, big enough to host the Western Conference Finals all by itself. In the regular season, the Houston Rockets found out the burden of defending a championship can exact a toll. But the Rockets have begun to glow in the playoffs with Olajuwon and Drexler shining brightly. Just down the highway, the San Antonio Spurs enjoyed their finest season. An MVP in the middle, and the NBA's best record. In the first two games, last year's MVP taught San Antonio a lesson in the post. But on Friday, the Spurs countered, and now in a Game 4 as big as Texas, look to tie this series at 2.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1995 NBA playoffs. Today, it's Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals between the San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets.
Along Interstate Highway 10 in the state of Texas, two cities, two great cities share access, San Antonio and Houston, and their teams meet today in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Summit here in Houston, Texas. I'm Greg Gumbel. The Houston Rockets lead this series 2-1 by virtue of victories in San Antonio to begin. In game number 1, it was Robert Horry with a jump shot to win it for the Rockets by 1 with less than 7 seconds to play. Game number 2 also went to the Rockets. They won it behind a big performance by Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem also played big in Game 3, but it was David Robinson and company stepping up to win it by 5, and so we arrive here at game number 4. Joined this afternoon by Steve Jones and Bill Walton. We mentioned Hakeem Olajuwon. He has played such great basketball. Have you ever seen him play better?
No, I haven't, Greg. Through his entire career, Hakeem has been killing guys, but right now he is at the ultimate peak of his game. His numbers in this series, just phenomenal, doing it in all aspects of the game. He has given the Rockets a commanding lead. But if the Houston Rockets are going to continue to win, not only this game, but in this series, they've got to have it from Clyde Drexler, who has been terrific in the first half, a phenomenal plus 70% shooting, but in the second half, a precipitous drop-off to an embarrassing almost 20%. Clyde Drexler has got to realize that this game lasts for 48 minutes, 7 days a week. He's got to get it done. He's the man, Clyde Drexler.
All right, Bill. Meanwhile, the victory here Friday night by San Antonio corrected a slide that really began all the way back to the Lakers series. Steve Jones, MVP David Robinson does his job night in and night out. On Friday night, he got some help as well.
He did get some help. David Robinson was key down the stretch, and he's figured out how he can score against Olajuwon. He has been torched by Hakeem, and he's got to accept the challenge of going back at him. But if the San Antonio Spurs are to be successful, it's the backcourt that's got to get them there. Del Negro and Johnson got 39 in Game 3. That's more than they had in Games 1 and 2 combined.
All right, Steve. Also joining us on the sidelines here this afternoon is Jim Gray. Let's check in with him now. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. Spurs head coach Bob Hill told his team in his pregame speech that they must pick up the pace of the game. He wants the team to run a lot and pressure the Rockets. Now, there's a reason for that. Hill has noticed that the Rockets have played every other day in the entire month of May. And he's noticed in the fourth quarter while watching the tapes with his assistant coaches that the Rockets are starting to lose their stamina and wear down. Now, as for the Rockets and Rudy Tomjanovich, he had a very simple message on his blackboard this morning when his team came in. It simply said, to win, do the little things. Greg?
All right, Jim, Hakeem and company won themselves a championship 1 year ago. A victory today would put them in commanding position to once again go to the finals. The starting lineups when we come back in a moment.
Hello from Plank Road, where our man Paul is ready with a simple little demonstration. This is watered down. Ooh, not Freddie. This is not watered down. This is Ice House. It's ice brewed, never any watered down taste. And that's why Ice House is always so remarkably smooth when it's going down. So remember, watered down and not watered down. Ice House. Thanks, and enjoy.
He's a little taller than that. I think the basketball was bigger than he was.
His shoes, this don't look for real.
Murphy just moves real fast. Murphy like a little bee buzzing.
Where'd you get that from? I guess you got it from his mama.
They would laugh and say, what is this little boy doing on the court? And I just told him to go for it. I think he made me go between shots.
Financial concerns, medical problems, anxiety about the future. 50 million Americans turn for help to one particular company, a company whose sole purpose has always been to bring them to a different state of mind. Peace of mind, security, protection, optimism. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Ice Brewed Ice House. Ice brewed so there's never any watered down taste. By the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock. And by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
Welcome back to Houston. Here are the starting lineup. First of all, for the visiting San Antonio Spurs. In the backcourt, Avery Johnson and Vinny Del Negro. They both stepped up big in Game 3 here Friday night. David Robinson in the middle, flanked by Dennis Rodman and Sean Elliott. And the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs in his first season in San Antonio is Bob Hill. For the Houston Rockets, starting in the backcourt, familiar combo of Kenny Smith and Clyde Drexler. Up front for the Rockets are Hakeem Olajuwon, the 7-footer. Chucky Brown gets the start today at one forward in place of Pete Chilcutt, and Robert Horry is at the other forward. The head coach of the Rockets, Rudy Tomjanovich, with a playoff record of 30 wins and 20 defeats. The officials for this afternoon's game number 4, Ed T. Rush, Dan Crawford, and Ron Garrison. David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon have been waging their usual battle. Who gets the edge today, Steve Jones?
Well, I still think the edge goes to Olajuwon, but David Robinson has got to accept the challenge that he's got to put some offensive pressure on Olajuwon. If he can't get him in foul trouble, 40 is a number that we're seeing on a regular basis.
The theme for San Antonio today in their prayer, David Robinson led that. The history of the Spurs, according to Robinson, has always been mediocre in the playoffs. Today is the day we rise to greatness and become a championship team.
Games 1 and 2 to Houston in San Antonio. Game 3 to San Antonio here in Houston on Friday night. Robinson and Olajuwon will jump at center. Opening tap to the Spurs. Avery Johnson with Kenny Smith on it.
Now right here, this is where David Robinson can hurt Olajuwon, but he gives up the ball. They're trying to get Del Negro going, and that's not going to happen early.
Shot clock at 3, and Robinson has to cast off a long one.
Not a good first possession for San Antonio. It took way too long to get into anything recognizable as offense.
Olajuwon.
Single coverage. They stay at home in the perimeter shooters.
Kenny Smith on the drive.
That's got to be Dennis Rodman's responsibility. He can come off Chucky Brown where David Robinson can't come off Olajuwon.
Double team on Robinson. He gives it up for Avery Johnson.
That's the guy that they feel is the weak link. They're going to make Avery Johnson make jump shots. Kenny Smith had to come a long way to get to Olajuwon. They want a little bit more pressure on Avery Johnson when he has to shoot.
Statistically, Avery Johnson's as good as any point guard in the NBA with the exception of John Stockton.
good. Robinson trying to keep it alive, out of bounds to San Antonio.
Now, the San Antonio Spurs in the second half found something to work for Bob Hill. Pick and roll. Houston Rockets had trouble defending it. That's how Avery Johnson got into the middle. That's how Del Negro got going. Bob Hill said he wants to establish that early, see how the Rockets are going to defend.
Kenny Smith finally putting some pressure on in the backcourt, forcing him to take time off the clock before Robinson can handle it in close.
Here's the pick and roll.
Del Negro looks back to Robinson for the jumper. David Robinson, his first two of the afternoon. Spurs lead at 4-2.
Most teams, and I can't believe they continue to do this, no one has learned from Riley and the Knicks to force that ball back or at least trap it outside when the guy comes off high on the pick and roll.
Chucky Brown with Del Negro on it. Goes hard inside. We're tied at 4.
Chucky Brown on a mission to prove that he is a primetime player in the NBA. One of the main reasons Rudy Tomjanovich went with Brown instead of Chilka.
Avery Johnson. And Robinson follows. Lost it underneath. Robinson looked for the foul. Didn't get it. Drexler back in a hurry. And Chucky Brown looks like he was fouled coming across the lane by Vinny Del Negro.
What the San Antonio Spurs are trying to establish is pick and roll early. They cut off Vinny Del Negro, and that's going to leave this scoring opportunity for David Robinson. They want to shut down the guard play. That is the Houston Rockets, because that's where they got hurt in the second half, and they're going to make David Robinson beat them with the jumper.
Robert Horry.
Houston trying to take advantage of the liabilities defensively of Del Negro.
Del Negro to Robinson, who hits another jumper.
This is tremendous strategy by San Antonio. They realize as Rodman's out there smiling, looking at the crowd. A lot of confidence there.
Olajuwon. And that shot will not count. SG Rush says the foul came before the shot. David Robinson draws his first.
Well, Olajuwon has been torching David Robinson inside with an assortment of moves, and Robinson trying to get a body on him, get him physical, but the reason he's going to have problems, he's able to post too deep. It's just too deep. Too good.
Strong move by Olajuwon for his first basket.
Very questionable first foul on David Robinson. By the end of this game, foul trouble will be incredibly key.
Del Negro trying to give it back to Rodman, lost it. Chucky Brown on the move. Had it batted away. Kenny Smith follows, lost it, and draws the foul.
They come right back with Akeem after he picks up the first foul. Robinson's got to be a little softer, a little bit more careful. Initiates the contact. Beautiful balance and position. Nice use of that left arm.
Foul was on Sean Elliott, his first of the day. Olajuwon fakes the drive, puts up the jumper.
And what you have to do to slow this track meet down is to get to Avery Johnson. Kenny Smith did it in the first couple of possessions. That time he didn't, and Elliott gets the score.
That's the way San Antonio feels they have to play, up and down. Don't wait for the big guys to get in there. Make them run the floor.
Drexler through the foul, coming across the lane.
San Antonio foul, 32, Sean Elliott.
That's number 2 on Sean Elliott.
That's not good news for Bob Hill, because Elliott is a more mobile offensive player, puts more pressure off the drive, the ability to pass. They're going to bring in a deep shooter in Chuck Person, but Person is more of a specialist. That means the team has a tendency to stand and stall at the offensive end.
Elliott can create. He and Robinson and Avery Johnson are the creators out there.
Drexler hits the jumper.
Rodman's got to start doing something. Basically ineffective.
Well, you got to remember, this guy's a specialist, and if he's not rebounding the ball, it's difficult for him to have an impact. Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson with a quick look at Robinson, who saw he didn't have a path to the basket. Johnson kept it himself. We're tied at 10.
He does more than just rebound, Steve. He's an integral part of that offense with his screen and roll, calling the plays, balancing the floor, swinging the ball, the dribble drive out to start the fast break.
Are we watching the same game? We might not be watching the same game. We'll see how Dennis Rodman does, particularly in the rotation.
A foul on Rodman. Go back to Clyde Drexler.
Clyde Drexler, so important, able to take Dennis Rodman. Rodman not the perimeter defender that he is on the inside.
And Avery Johnson on the drive. We have a timeout, just under 7 minutes to play, and you're watching the NBA on NBC. In the last 3 games, Olajuwon has scored 27, 41, and 43 points. We asked David Robinson if he's seen him play better than he did in Game 3 Friday night.
I haven't seen him play better, period. He's playing good basketball. And, you know, it's just to his credit. It's the time of the year to really take your game to another level, and that's what he's done. And so, you know, that's what makes this great. You know, we come out here and we play, we do our job. See, you know, my game is so different from Akeem's, and that really I need to come out and I need to defend, and I need to make a lot of things happen all around. And I'm not just the post scorer that he is. So my game is a little bit different. I can't get caught up in the ego thing and trying to say I got to score 40 because he scores 40. I want to win the game. And as long as we win the game, then that's okay. And we can still win the game if he scores 40. That's not a problem.
David Robinson's in a very difficult situation because Olajuwon's going to get big numbers. And it's embarrassing when you get out there and your guy who you're faced up against is getting those numbers. But San Antonio's overall game plan is to win the series, and that means they can't double team as much as they normally would to keep those numbers for Akeem down.
Drexler, 2 free throws, puts the Rockets up 2, 12-10, 6:55 to play here in the first period.
Not a single foul called on the Houston Rockets to date.
Robinson, strong move. His hook is off the mark.
Now, the Rockets are a team that run on occasion, and they had a transition chance, but they wanted to set it up, and Olajuwon doesn't miss many of those, but that one was short.
Rodman corrals his first rebound, steal by Ori. 3-on-2, Chucky Brown.
San Antonio right back up the floor. Chucky Brown doing a terrific job. Good strategy, Rudy Tomjanovich.
By 4.
Here comes the pick and roll, and this is what worked for them, and this is the guy that hurt them, and he's got his confidence up. Games 1 and 2, he was nervous. After Game 3, he's looking to take that shot.
He's got that bad right ankle that he turned in Game 2. What for a left-handed player, that'll cause tremendous difficulties when you're driving to the hoop.
Ori, quick move. Rodman, his second rebound.
What shooter shoots with their ankle?
Robinson with a monster slam off the feet from Del Negro.
Obviously, Steve, you've never had any leg troubles at all, or you would realize that your entire game comes from your ankle.
We are tied at 14.
What a pass.
And a cut. And a nice pass from Akeem. 16-14 Houston.
This game has the same feel as Game 3, in which both teams got off to a real good offensive start.
Del Negro draws the foul going down the lane. Let's go back.
They know that Akeem Olajuwon will be at every play at the basket. So when they come, they can find Robinson coming back, but then Akeem will answer so many different ways. The slicing pass, the quick look, it's that pass, that fake pass that will set up all your offense.
The foul was on Akeem Olajuwon, his first. Del Negro at the line. Talked about the resurgence of Vinny Del Negro and Avery Johnson in Game 3. They combined for 34 points, or 39 points and 18 assists between the two of them.
They finally got good looks. Houston's defense had to start containing Robinson inside, and there was some spot-up shooters that got free. Most importantly, they made some shots.
Olajuwon lost it.
There was a foul. The crowd reacting because they didn't get the call, but San Antonio is going to try to take advantage of the turnover.
Chuck Person in a hurry off the front of the rim. Loose ball foul. And the call is on Chucky Brown.
This is where Rodman can really make his presence felt. The effort to get to the board. Chucky Brown in the middle of your screen, boxing out. Rodman anticipating and ridden out of there. Solid call.
Rodman wants to go to Hollywood. There's a perfect example of why. That was good acting, ridden out.
The guy had the rebound taken away by a foul.
Avery Johnson can't convert down the lane. Here come the Rockets. Ori will back it out. Go down low to Olajuwon. Oh, look at the move.
Hakeem Olajuwon, so much like Michael Jordan, who's added to his game all the time.
And on the second attempt, Olajuwon fouls Robinson.
Olajuwon got it twice. He got the first one, and David Robinson had great position. That's too deep. There's the deflection, and then the second one, and he's saying no foul.
I disagree totally. On the first one, well, this is going to be Olajuwon with the up and under, the Kevin McHale move, the step right by the flying Robinson. But the other play, the first play should have been a jump ball. A block shot that is caught by the offensive player is a jump ball. They let the play continue. The second foul, and Hakeem in that situation has to just let the play go and let him dunk one.
So Hakeem goes to the bench. Into the game is Charles Jones.
You got a great jersey on that? You're a referee.
No, I just report the facts out there, Steve.
Well, this hurts Houston. When Olajuwon goes down, now they have to go to Drexler on the post. David Robinson now will have a freer hand to roam defensively.
You're not going to go out on a limb and say that Hakeem to the bench called for Charles Jones it hurts Houston, are you?
Yeah, I'm out on that.
You're out on that limb big time today.
We're tied at 18, 3:50 to play. Outside jumper by Drexler doesn't go. Rodman chases it down.
It's a pretty strong one.
Del Negro for three. Drexler with a rebound, and Klein will push it. Down the lane, Ori had to toss it up in a hurry. And let's see the call. Foul is on Drexler.
The Rockets crashing the boards. Ori throwing up wild shots. Ori, like Drexler, has been up and down during the playoffs. When he's been up, he's been spectacular. And the Rockets have been able to win. Hakeem right back in there after a quick breath of fresh air.
And Chucky Brown takes a seat on the bench. And the whistle is going to go against Charles Jones, trying to keep a handle on David Robinson.
Well, the defensive switch now with Charles Jones against Robinson, Hakeem against Rodman. He figures that Hakeem won't pick up the fouls, but nice post position.
So Charles Jones was trying to get around in front, and that would be his only success. And it's a good play for him because Olajuwon's going to get all the lobs over the top.
Robinson's stuck on 8 points right now. We are tied at 18.
One thing we've learned is that most teams haven't learned the key to denying that lob over the top is pressure on the ball, and then an aggressive attack from the weak side.
Johnson, stop and go, tried to clip it back, won't fall. And recovered by Olajuwon, who put up the jumper. Ori missed the follow, and here comes San Antonio.
Robinson's got him intimidated at the hoop.
Person. And batted back out by Robinson.
Now, this is David Robinson's best start. In games 1, 2, and 3, he didn't have this kind of energy and presence in the opening stanza. He is trying to make a statement and get his team on top early.
I think it all turned around for Robinson in the second half of game 3.
2:41 to play in an active first period. The Spurs by 1, and we're coming back to the Summit in a moment.
Just rebound the ball. He does the little things that allow his teammates to get off. Here he will tangle up with Hakeem Olajuwon and keep him out of a play. And while they're engaged, David Robinson can tap it back out for a reset.
There is Dennis Rodman, and while we have a break, let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, thanks, Greg. Bob Hill, during that timeout, told his team, keep running. No matter the situation, keep running. It's starting to work. This is the pace that we want. It will wear them down. It will cause them fatigue and cause them to make some bad fouls. Just keep running. Greg?
All right, Jim, coming up on 2.5 to play here in the first quarter. Robinson. Avery Johnson. As the shot clock wound down, Rodman with the offensive rebound. And a nice steal by Drexler. Kenny Smith.
Now, the problem with keep running is that you turn the other team loose for some cheap buckets. Houston's the type of team that feeds off of mistakes. They got one there, and they'll take advantage of every break they can get.
Ori and Drexler have been brilliant in the passing lanes of the defensive end.
Give and go, Rodman. Dennis Rodman converts. Spurs by 1. Kenny Smith down the lane and then toss it off to no one.
He was going to give it back to Olajuwon, and it was a good play by Avery Johnson.
Chuck Person.
Don't jump in the air to pass the ball. Jump in the air to shoot every time. A gunner like you, Steve, I'm surprised. Let that one go.
San Antonio 21.
I'd rather have Olajuwon shoot than Kenny Smith.
Shot clock at 5. Horry for 3. And Charles Jones with the rebound.
He does not want to shoot at all.
Standing around, and Olajuwon inside. Houston by 1. Charles Jones with the block and a goaltend.
A moment ago, the Houston Rockets were able to capitalize on the offensive board because nobody was moving to the ball for San Antonio. But San Antonio got a real break on a good block shot by Charles Jones.
Yeah, that was a good move that just went for nothing, but it was the quickness of Olajuwon that got him that hoop. Big rebound, Rodman.
Person for 3. Chuck Person.
Person's the type of guy that if you keep giving him shots, he's going to keep taking them, and it finally is going to dial in. That's his third three-point attempt, and he gets one to go.
Finally, Person has not been a positive factor throughout these playoffs after one of his best regular season efforts in a while.
Rodman with the steal and called timeout. He did. A 20-second timeout. So Dennis Rodman swooping in with the steal, and before he landed out of bounds, got the timeout call.
Starting to make his presence felt, but too early in the game to waste a valuable timeout on a simple possession. San Antonio's game is very good defensively. They can always get it back. San Antonio, like Orlando, playing the best defense of any team in the playoffs.
Well, it's twice that Kenny Smith has had penetration and then giving the ball up and surprised his teammates, and it's cost him. So if Kenny's going to drive, he may as well go ahead and take it all the way to the rim and then let them try to get it off the glass.
The problem with getting to the rim, though, is that David Robinson, one of the league's top shot blockers, is sending him back. Early in the game, he was sticking with Akeem, and guys were able to get those layups. Now he realizes, hey, I got to stop everything out here.
There is David Robinson, the MVP for the 94-95 NBA season.
He pretty much just did about everything, David Robinson. MVP, the Statistical Player of the Year, the IBM Award, and then, of course, first team All-League, first team All-Defense. Is there anything else?
No shot clock. Last 11 seconds of the quarter. Robinson. Rodman follows. Didn't fall. Olajuwon has it. And we're out of time. And Dennis Rodman furious about a whistle that didn't blow.
Olajuwon felt he got bodied out on the play, and Rodman felt he got fouled. He goes to the ground in a heap, but he gets up. He's into this one.
The battle of the superstar centers continues. 26-22. San Antonio back for the second quarter in just a moment. San Antonio leading it by a score of 26-22. Welcome back to Houston, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Bill Walton and Steve Jones. And, you know, you would think that these things would be a little bit more exciting than they are, but apparently things aren't quite that lively here at the Summit. You know, I never heard anyone get so concerned about someone flying overhead as Bill Walton did.
I thought we were coming to a basketball game today. It's like a rock concert here. Guys flying through the sky.
In either case, you should be comfortable.
Dead even in the field goal percentage department. That young man, incidentally, is Kenny Burrell, a.k.a. Turbo, here at the Summit.
Houston leads the playoff teams in field goal percentage. San Antonio #1 in opponent's field goal percentage.
Sam Cassell on the floor as well as Mario Ellie for the Rockets, and Olajuwon gets Houston started here in the second with a bucket.
Now they went to a different set just to get Olajuwon the ball with a different look. The result's the same, but David Robinson is in this one and matching him at the offensive end.
Doc Rivers and Willie Anderson have come onto the floor now for San Antonio. Rivers travels. Nice
ball, bobbled the ball there. The intimidation factor, Olajuwon. But how good is Hakeem Olajuwon on the offensive end? You're talking about first-team All-League defender, David Robinson, a one-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he's just turning and shooting jumpers 6 feet away from the basket right in his face.
He's playing another game. Nobody understands the game that Olajuwon's playing at this time in terms of the moves he's able to make. Makes a few turnovers, but today he's made a couple.
Rodman tries to save, and Willie Anderson comes up with it. Shot clock is at 11. Rivers, top of the key, three-pointer, good.
Doc Rivers, who gets his best opportunities when the team is desperately behind. His numbers deceptively negative when you look at them by themselves, but in the context of his contribution to the team, he's incredibly valuable.
Cassell over Rivers. Nice shot by Sam Cassell.
Cassell felt that he had to give this team a lift coming into it, and he's going to try to be more aggressive at the offensive end.
Elliott trying to draw the foul. Rodman recovered.
Rodman's starting to have one of those games where everything goes right for him.
Rivers open for another three.
Kept alive by Dennis Rodman. San Antonio's defense starting to take effect here. Very difficult shots time and time again for Houston. Nothing easy.
Ellie with a terrible pass inside, and that went off of Rivers' foot.
They're not even guarding Charles Jones.
We have
why should they?
That timeout on the floor with 9:39 to play in the first half. The Spurs lead it by 6. Greg Gumbel, Steve Jones, Bill Walton, Jim Gray back at the Summit. There is assistant coach Dave Collins, who can sometimes be more than just an assistant coach, Bill.
Hall of Famer the other day in game 2 just got in everybody's faces. He was so quiet all season long, never really said anything in a group situation. Late in the game, game 2, they lost in San Antonio. He was in everyone's faces, has inspired the team. Dave Cowan's a real fiery man. An MVP himself, 1973.
One of 5 MVPs in the house today. Olajuwon missed the stop. Sean Elliott on the drive, dishes for Doc Rivers with the reverse, and doesn't fall.
The strength of Hakeem's hands. Whenever he's anywhere near the ball, he's going to come out with it, much the way Larry Bird would.
Cassell draws the foul going down the lane. Let's go back to Hakeem's missed stuff.
Well, the quickness is the reason that he gets into the rim and tries to throw it down and just missed it. David Robinson had a hand up there, and he was trying to move it around, missed it, and every now and then
have to dunk that ball. No way you're going to be able to make it unless you come to a dead stop and pull up for your jump hook, which Hakeem is the master of.
Cassell makes the first of 2, and now Terry Cummings will come off the San Antonio bench. I mentioned 5 MVPs in the house today. Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Dave Cowens, Moses Malone sitting on the San Antonio bench in street clothes, and our own Bill Walton.
Moses Malone with 3 of those MVPs. Everyone else with just a solitary one.
There's an offensive foul on Rivers.
Sam Cassell is really a very good defender. Moves his feet this time, gets all the way over, but does a little bit extra to get the official's attention, and they get the turnover. And San Antonio doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the basketball.
There's a foul on Willie Anderson, his second. San Antonio turned the ball over just 6 times in Game 3 here Friday night. They've already turned the ball over 6 times today.
How about David Robinson? You talk about turnovers. Guard rotation here for Bob Hill, but games 1 and 2, David Robinson led the Spurs in each game, a total of 12 turnovers. In Game 3, he just had 1 turnover.
What a terrific move across the lane by Clyde Drexler, 32-29 Spurs.
Drexler's scoring has been down here early because they're trying to get Olajuwon going, but that time they took advantage of his size.
And a blocking foul called against the Rockets as J.R. Reed made the move across the lane. Let's go back to Clyde.
Well, the playoffs are all about taking advantage of matchups, and Drexler 90% of the time will have an advantage at the 2-guard. He overpowers Doc Rivers and then has to make one of those mid-air adjustments he's famous for.
Well, he's one of those incredibly versatile players like Jordan who can post up tremendously and hit the long shot and finish spectacularly on the break.
Charles Jones to the bench with his second person. Avery Johnson kicks it outside. Terry Cummings. Out of bounds to the Spurs.
San Antonio going with their second unit right now. They got Elliott, Rodman, and Robinson all on the bench. Reed and Cummings have to be the anchor right now. Excuse me, Elliott is in the game, playing with 2 fouls.
Drexler with a cheap foul on J.R. Reed.
Drexler grabbed him around the waist, but was saying that J.R. Reed put the hips out to try to keep him from getting around the screen. Second foul against Drexler, but with this unit out on the floor, particularly since it's a small one, the Rockets got to be thinking about Olajuwon dominating both ends of the floor. But they got to get the rebound. This is the second time in this possession they've given up.
Doc Rivers breaks free underneath.
The chance to get the rebound, and it ended up costing him 2 points.
Sam Cassell. 34-31, San Antonio by 3. Sean Elliott. And J.R. Reed with an offensive rebound taken away by Elliott. Cassell tried to pass, had it taken away, has it stripped, and Chucky Brown with the foul.
Doc Rivers playing a very key role for San Antonio. One of 6 All-Stars on this team. Came and joined San Antonio, took a big pay cut to be part of what is something very special in the River City.
Over 7 points a game in this series. His first basket, Rudy Tomjanovich wants timeout. 7:02 to play in the first half. It's the Spurs by 5, and you're watching the NBA on NBC. Dave Cowens, the Spurs assistant coach, Hakeem Olajuwon, and David Robinson. The 5th one is with Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, and I am joined by Moses Malone, a 3-time MVP. Moses took the Houston Rockets to the 1981 championship before losing to Boston. During that time, Hakeem Olajuwon was going to college. In 1983 and 84, you used to work out with Hakeem, and you taught him a lot of stuff. Now that you're with San Antonio, do you regret teaching him so much?
Not really, not really. You know, Hakeem's a great guy. You know, he learned a lot from me, but basically, he worked very hard.
What have you done with the Spurs to keep them intense, keep them in the game, let them know that the series isn't over? You've spent an awful lot of years and come back a lot of times.
Right, we still can win this. We still can win it, but we got to play as a team. I told David, let's keep his head up and play hard and take over the game.
Moses, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Member of the 83 championship team. Greg?
Nice shirt on Moses, isn't it?
I thought he borrowed that from Steve Jones.
Well, he said something that you'd like. Big men take over the game. You know, you love to see a big man dominate, and that's why you got here about 3 hours before everyone else. You know you're going to see a great game between Robinson and Olajuwon.
The big men always dominate basketball. It was just that brief 13-year blip when Jordan and Bird and Magic and Isaiah had something to say about the history of basketball. But Magic and Bird, they did have Jabbar and Robert Parrish out there.
That's something like 18 minutes, right? That blip, right?
3-year blip. Chucky Brown hits 2 free throws. Houston climbs to within 3 with 6:55 to play. Robinson back on the floor. J.R. Reed across the lane.
San Antonio, Houston needs more out of Robert Horry. He's got 0 points on 0 for 5 shooting, currently on the bench.
Olajuwon. And J.R. Reed outduels Sam Cassell for the rebound. In a hurry, Sean Elliott. And Robinson back outside.
Perfect opportunity for Robinson to take it right out of Keene, who's playing with 2 fouls.
J.R. Reed on the baseline. And here comes the Rockets.
Now, this guy likes this pace, and it's going to be tough for Rudy to keep him from going up and down because he can score quickly, goes right over Avery Johnson.
36-35, San Antonio by 1.
Houston still not entirely sure what they're going to do defensively on the pick and roll.
Avery Johnson with the miss. Cassell blocked by Rivers. Up ahead to J.R. Reed, who will slow it down and fouled by Cassell from behind.
Every now and then, Doc Rivers shows you there's still life in that old body. It's been beat up and operated on a couple of times, but Cassell was feeling it, and he thought he could just come down and torch him, and he raised up and had it slapped away and trying to make a play back the other end. Sam Cassell picks up the personal foul.
Cassell been up and down in the playoffs. Down at Utah, up against Phoenix, down in this series.
Nice drive by Vinny Del Negro. 38-35 Spurs as we come up on 5 minutes to play in the first half. And there's an illegal defense called, first of the game, against the Spurs.
Bob Hill kept Dennis Rodman out for a very long time. Was able to maintain the lead, but didn't get a lot of statistical production out of Reed and Cummings.
They got rebounds.
Not enough.
That's the same thing Rodman gives him.
The lob to Olajuwon, the fake, he got the bucket and the foul. First time today we have seen Robinson front Hakeem Olajuwon.
The changing defenses that they went to, they come around the top. Sean Elliott just too soft on the perimeter. No rotation by Rodman, who's got to come over there. Rudy's tease, yeah, there's 2 on Robinson.
Olajuwon makes it a 3-point play. He has 13 on the day, and we're tied at 38.
But Greg, that changing defense that you talked about, the front, the play behind, to come up the side, that'll confuse the team and slow them down a little bit.
Rodman with the putback. Dennis Rodman has 4 points today, and the Spurs lead it by 2.
Rodman, who generally does his best when his best is most desperately needed, coming through solid today.
Olajuwon didn't get the bounce, but he chases down the loose ball. Kenny Smith for three.
Akeem just dragged guys on his way to the hoop that time.
And there is a foul down low.
Olajuwon is the guy that made the play happen at the other end because he chased his own miss, then put pressure on the defense, forced him to collapse, and Kenny Smith, who shoots his best when he can set his feet wide open, knocks down the first three of the ball game for the Rockets.
Charles Jones, his third personal. And David Robinson at the line to shoot a couple. David Robinson, MVP. 11 on the day.
Robinson and Rodman were the top rebounding duo in the NBA this year. Over 27 rebounds per game between them. Shaq and Horace Grant second.
Mario Elie. And the foul is on Rodman.
Made up his mind. He's driving this ball to the rim, and David Robinson was there for the challenge. Rodman felt he got the ball early. Looked like a nice, clean block, but the whistle goes against the man of many colors.
That was a good block, but when you go to the hoop with the determination that Elie has, and with the lack of fear, throwing your caution to the wind, and just putting your body on the line, you'll get that call. You won't have any health left after a few times. You'll do it many times. But that one time it wins you the championship. It might be worth it.
Elie missed them both. Spurs by one. Also doesn't help when you go through that kind of sacrifice and you come away with nothing to show for it.
Del Negro the last time really attacked Sam Cassell. He's going to be trying to score the ball if he can.
Avery Johnson. High off the glass. Up ahead, Kenny Smith.
What an outlet pass by Akeem Olajuwon.
Rodman down the lane. And Sean Elliott converts.
It looked like a pass. Rodman is looking like I was passing that all the way, but it turns out to be a big play for Sean Elliott.
That was definitely a pass.
San Antonio by one. Kenny Smith. Olajuwon pulls it down.
Kenny Smith, the greatest three-point shooter in Houston franchise history. That shot's got to go down. This game's about moving on.
Olajuwon, Robinson got the block.
That's the first time David Robinson was able to get any kind of read on Olajuwon, which might be a sign of fatigue for Akeem because he's been able to spin and turn, coming back to David Robinson at this end.
Johnson on the move. Avery Johnson off the feed from David Robinson.
Tremendous read by Bob Hill to call that play for Robinson right away.
Rodman has the rebound. And the loose ball from Rodman, and now he's fouled by Elie. We expected a fast pace, but we didn't expect an auto race. 2:05 to play in the first half. Antonio by three, and David Robinson is doing some things that you like, Bill.
They're taking advantage of something that the New York Knicks in last year's finals did not do. When Ewing last year had good moments against Olajuwon, they would never come right back to him in the low, deep post to try to pick up extra fouls. This time, Olajuwon gets his shot sent back in his face, and then they reposted up David Robinson. They got the give and go out of it. Good strategy by San Antonio.
David Robinson goes to the line to shoot a couple. He is 5 out of 6 from there so far this afternoon.
Robinson, who led the NBA in free throws made this year, second in attempts behind Shaquille O'Neal.
San Antonio 48, Houston 43, 2 minutes to play in the first half.
Cassell made a great steal in the corner and had the big fella all set up for a two-handed hammer, and he got too excited, couldn't control the ball. This has been a game of spurts, and San Antonio has spurted back on top to lead by 5, and the Rockets will say they have to control Avery Johnson. Smith was doing it early, but he is broken down.
Del Negro makes it 50 to 43. San Antonio in a minute 15 to play.
Del Negro, who learned so much playing point guard a couple years ago for San Antonio, now is the off guard. So much more a versatile player.
Drexler forcing his way in and drew the foul. Spurs don't like the call. That's number 3 on Elliott.
Well, Drexler has been left out of most of the first half at the offensive end. Hasn't really had that many opportunities, and Sean Elliott not happy about the call. 3 field goal attempts for Clyde here early, and in games 1 and 2, he was huge in the first half of both ball games. So they've got to find a way to get him involved, because every time he's done well and the Rockets win, they've won going away, and when he struggled, the team has lost.
At the top of our telecast, Bill Walton mentioned his disappearance in the second half of Game 3 here Friday night. Drexler was just 2 of 9 from the floor, 0 for 5 behind the three-point line.
Maybe he'll get it backwards today and have a poor first half and a solid second half, and that'll be good news for Houston.
1 minute to play in the first half. Spurs with the ball and a 5-point lead.
The 5-point lead has given the Spurs confidence to believe that they're on the right track, that playing at pace and going up and down, even if there's a few more mistakes involved, is going to get them a victory.
Terry Cummings inside.
Cummings and J.R. Reed were so valuable as a tandem in Rodman's absence. Averaged 20 points and 16 boards between them. Oh, sloppy offense.
Wild pass by Robert Horry. Half a minute to play. Chuck Purser and Drexler got a piece of it. Horry tries the outlet pass, and the Spurs have it back.
Rodman tipped the ball, allowed the Spurs to recover, and denied the fast break. He does do more than just rebound.
You're his agent today. You're going to make sure that he gets all the credit in the world. But that was a nice play.
They're ahead by 7.
Drexler was on the way.
Avery Johnson.
They're ahead by 9.
Remember, there's 2 halves.
Avery Johnson with 12 points and 5.2 to play.
And also remember that every time you said something about Robert Horry not scoring, he's come up with big baskets at key time.
Kenny Smith with time running out. Can't get it done. And San Antonio has the lead at the break. David Robinson, 13 points, 7 rebounds. Hakeem, 13 and 6. And it's the Spurs, 54-45. Coming up, the Prudential halftime report right after these messages. These the Miller Lite halftime statistics. Meanwhile, for the San Antonio Spurs, coming off the bench to lead the way was Doc Rivers with 8 points. He was 2 out of 2 from behind the three-point line. And the Spurs bench continues to show the way for San Antonio. Greg Gumbel along with Bill Walton and Steve Jones. We talked at the beginning about the battle of the big men and who needed help. For San Antonio, David Robinson has gotten some of that help, Steve.
David Robinson seen his friends jump in, and it's been the backcourt of Avery Johnson and Del Negro coming up big along with Doc Rivers. That's 26 points, and they need that kind of play in the second half.
Meanwhile, Hakeem Olajuwon isn't getting very much help at all.
The failure of the Houston offense has just been killing their chances to win, because Drexler, Horry, and Mario Elie, they've combined for 8 points. Elie and Horry have not scored at all. They've only taken 8 shots among the 3 guys. That's not enough. They've got to get going.
All right, it's a 9-point difference as we get set for the start of the third quarter. We're coming back to the Summit in Houston for second half action in just a moment.
More carbos.
89% of top athletes polled
Más carbohidrato.
prefer more carbos, with 33% more carbos than Gatorade. It's Powerade.
They're here, Toyota Tacomas, the all-new addition to Toyota's summer collection. And a special low $189 a month lease will make it easy to get into this hot new line of trucks. All new, all-powerful, class leaders. You can save up to $800 on Tacoma's extra value option package. It's the best time to make the big T100 Extra cab yours. It's a Toyota Summer Collection 95 sales celebration. Save up to $2,000 on valuable options. Supermodels, super deals at your Toyota dealer now.
Hit it.
If he won MVP this year, he should change his hair color.
That's a bet. That's a bet. Hurt you? Come to the crib, baby. I just won MVP. Forget it. Now your head just gone psyched up. Playoff next week. Yeah.
I think we might have to come up with some other way of celebrating. It looks good on you, though, D. Huh? It looks good on you, though.
You know, the apartment itself is it's a small apartment. I'm not sitting here acting like it's a big apartment by any means. So, you know, it's small. And I pay way too much rent for it. But I like the view.
Welcome back to the Summit in Houston. The Spurs lead by 9 at halftime. I'm Jim Gray. I'm joined by the Rockets head coach, Rudy Tomjanovich. Rudy, your club was out-rebounded significantly on the offensive boards. What are you going to do to adjust that in the second half?
Well, we just got to box out stronger. We're getting caught too far underneath the basket, and they've got a great offensive rebounding team, and it's always a factor against these guys. We just got to be more physical.
Are you concerned with the pace of the game right now? It seems to be favoring San Antonio, and they seem to be doing what they want to be doing.
Yeah, we know that they want to push the ball. However, on the break, we're holding our own, and they haven't broken it open, and we've got to continue to contain that.
Rudy, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, Greg, let's go back out to you.
All right, Jim, that big edge on the offensive boards that you and Rudy T talked about, the Spurs enjoy an 11-4 edge in offensive rebounding.
Well, Houston is notoriously a weak offensive rebounding team, and if we look at the big men going head-to-head here, tremendous blocks by both players, showing their defensive skills. First half comparison of numbers awash really for the first time in this series. David Robinson continues to get better starting in the second half of Game 3.
One of the things, Steve, that we talked about with the players yesterday is Hakeem Olajuwon. You see 14 shots in the first half. Do the Rockets have a tendency to just stand around and let him go when he's hot?
They do, but they should, because it sets up their three-point game, which they haven't really had a chance to set up. The San Antonio Spurs did a much better job of making things happen. Drexler lost his footing.
And they're going to have to wipe up a wet spot before we continue play.
Trying to go at Sean Elliott, who does have 3 fouls. Drexler as good as anyone at drawing fouls.
54-45. San Antonio. Del Negro kicks it out. Sean Elliott with the jumper over Horry.
Sean Elliott.
Elliott playing with 3 fouls, has 6 points.
You just see the confidence building in San Antonio. Robinson only with 2 fouls. Rodman in his groove.
Well, it's apparent right now they're going to try to get Drexler going as they come to him in the first 2 possessions to try to make something happen at the offensive end. Shot clock under 10.
All the way down to 4 now. Olajuwon spins, lost it, run out of time, lost the ball. Here comes Johnson. David Robinson inside, down the lane. Rockets wanted to travel, didn't have it. And Chucky Brown is bent over in the lane. Looks like he might have caught a finger in the eye.
That's generally called a facial.
58-45, the Spurs have bolted to a 13-point lead.
Too late in the shot clock to get the ball to Hakeem.
He lost it again.
Now, David Robinson has done a much better job of handling Hakeem inside. inside. So he's going to have to go and reestablish himself in the low post. Robinson now got a read on how to handle it.
Del Negro tapped up by Rodman. Robinson's follow is no good. Here come the Rockets.
The Ori-Del Negro matchup is killing the Rockets.
Kenny Smith at the other end.
To play defensive guard against Del Negro. He'd be able to beat him off the dribble, abuse him on pick and rolls.
Let's see if Ori adjusts. He's got the assignment, and Del Negro has been very aggressive in trying to attack. Ori makes a save on the glass.
Scrambles on the baseline. Here come the Rockets again. Drexler. Kenny Smith choosing to drive. Kick back to Drexler. Drexler follows. 10 points for Clyde Drexler, 58-49.
David Robinson is playing with the patience and confidence of a man who knows he's coming out on top today.
Avery Johnson. The lead was 13. It's down to 9, and the Rockets look to cut it even more. Hakeem, fadeaway.
No more twists and turns for a while. I'm just going to go to the fadeaway and get some numbers up on the glass.
Well, he gave his teammates all the chances he could expect to give them.
Robinson blocked by Hakeem. Drexler down the lane. Thought he was fouled.
You always think you're fouled when you miss. We learned that from Magic. It either goes in or it's a foul.
Spurs have missed 7 straight shots from the floor. Avery Johnson makes it 8. Out of bounds. And it belongs to San Antonio. Let's go back to the defensive play by Hakeem Olajuwon.
Drexler's still complaining, but there can be no complaint about this for David Robinson. Olajuwon well on top of that one, and that started that fast break.
Why is David Robinson double clutching in that situation? Block shots, which have been seriously in the advantage of Houston throughout the series.
Elliott, and Elliott is fouled.
Third foul against Olajuwon as Sean Elliott missed and then got back to the ball before anyone else. What Sean Elliott does very well is chase his own misses, and he's quick off the dribble, and he was able to get into the middle.
But that replay, Hakeem is in there playing defense, trying to block the shot, trying to get the rebound. There's all these other white-shirted guys standing around watching. Get in the air, get those live bodies, be active, do something out there.
Wait, what did guys say in the first half? Big men dominate the game. He was doing his job.
Well, he was doing his job, but where are the rest of these guys?
Elliott missed the first of 2. It is 59-51. San Antonio.
Posting up Ori down there on Del Negro.
Well, that's what they're going to try to do, but first they got to get him the ball, and Chucky Brown didn't give it to him.
Chucky Brown with the jumper over Dennis Rodman. Chucky Brown has 8 today.
Chucky Brown, who shot 60% in the regular season from the floor.
Drexler up on Elliott. Elliott on the drive.
Nice drive, Sean Elliott. He saw Olajuwon come over, put his body between him and the ball. That's 5 1/4.
7:20 to play, third quarter.
It's been a walking up and down game. Very few fast breaks. That favors Houston.
Kenny Smith. And Robinson with the rebound.
But like game 3, Houston can't make their outside shots.
Avery Johnson slows it down and then takes it right at Kenny Smith and locks it. Drexler. For Ori, blocked by Robinson.
Now we're talking big men playing defense out there. That, it doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't, but it only changes for you and these big men when they do something you like.
Look at Rodman underneath with another offensive rebound.
Set offense, not San Antonio's strength, admittedly.
And this foul goes against Chucky Brown, who shoved Rodman once too often. And Houston takes a timeout. 6 minutes, 24 seconds to play in the third. 61-53 Spurs.
With all its power, with all that it is capable of, with all its refinements and its reputation, imagine the places it can take you. The Toyota 4Runner, where civilization is headed.
See Jane work on plane. Jane on plane gets idea in brain. Insane. Ideal for Blaine in Spain. Jane puts idea in plan, sends to Dan in Spokane. Elucidate plan as only you can. Dan sends urgent demand. Gets Excel sheet from Liz, financial whiz. Presto. Dan has presentation in hand. Sends to Jane in Spain. Fab result. Jane exults. Dan dreams of sand in can. Microsoft Office and Mail. Where do you want to go today?
You know, I got no problem with a dog being tough, but you gotta control it.
Stop right there.
Yo, Shep, be cool. Some dogs have been trained to be antisocial. It ain't their fault. Come on, boys. You're acting like fools. See?
How you doing there, Doc?
You got the goods. You don't have to prove it.
Red Dog beer. Bold yet smooth, easy to drink.
My friend, you are real brave. Or real stupid.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Powerade, the official sports drink of the Olympic Games. By the 1995 Toyota 4Runner. It's where civilization is headed. And by Red Dog Beer. Bold, yet smooth, unusually easy to drink. You are your own dog.
Back in the home of the defending NBA champion Houston Rockets, Dennis Rodman with 4 points, 13 rebounds, 6 of them offensive. But Steve, is this what you mean by rough play underneath the boards?
Well, it's not rough play, but it's the irritant quality of Dennis Rodman that is also a value on the team. Chucky Brown trying to keep him away, gets a call for a cheap foul right there. And that, of course, is part of the value of Rodman.
Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, Greg, I had a chance to speak to Bob Hill at halftime, said he's thrilled with the pace of the game. I asked him about the out-rebounding that they are controlling the boards against the Rockets, and he said one thing very simply. Dennis decided to show up tonight. Greg?
Robert Horry just picked up a foul, knocking David Robinson to the floor.
Foul is total, Houston's 25, Robert Horry, his first.
Horry gets his first foul, but Rudy had said he wanted his team to be more physical, so that was one where he really wanted to just lay a lick on David Robinson to let him know he's not going to be able to just go down the lane.
Elliott, and Horry picks up another quick foul.
You have to learn how to be physical without fouling. That's one thing the Indiana Pacers have not been able to pick up in the Orlando series. Right now, though, Robert Horry is doing so very little. Numbers head-to-head matchup with Rodman and Horry. The 13 rebounds separating him from the crowd.
Del Negro gets the bounce.
Pick and roll is what's helped Del Negro get into the game offensively, so they've got to do a better job of shutting off the pick and roll.
Spurs by 10.
Offense. It's all about offense for Houston right now.
And Dennis Rodman with a foul out front. That's number 3 on Rodman.
Well, you get cheap, you give cheap, and that's what happened to Rodman. A hand check, but underneath, Robert Horry is trying to get position against Vinny Del Negro, and Chucky Brown won't give him the ball.
Robinson with the rebound. Johnson pushes it up court, slows it down. Robinson.
Sean Elliott. They're the ones with the nice touch right now.
Del Negro on the move. Vinny Del Negro. Del Negro has 10. The Spurs lead by 12.
But it's the pick and roll. That's what they discovered in Game 3 that gave them some offensive rhythm. They're doing it here in the third quarter as well.
Drexler for 3.
In and out, time and time again. Continuing the story of the
Sean Elliott wide open and miss it, and Rodman. 4 defenders there, and Rodman comes away with the offensive board.
It's all pace and controlling the tempo for San Antonio now. They get those offensive rebounds. They bring it back out and get direction from Bob Hill. Dennis Rodman just working magnificently, gives himself up, fights off 2 guys. One of those guys is as tough as they get, Akeem Olajuwon.
What about a lucky bounce?
A lucky man. There's no such thing as luck. You make your luck in this world, Steve. By hard work.
The guy just happened to be in the right spot for that.
A lucky bounce. That was the last time you were in the paint.
Meanwhile, Dennis Rodman converts the first of 2. He has 5 points, 14 rebounds today. He had 14 rebounds in all of Game 3 here Friday night. He hits the second.
Rodman enjoying this one. He is involved. He knows the team has to have this. The Rockets want a timeout.
Timeout, Houston.
And it's a 20-second timeout.
20 seconds.
With 4:36 to play. And Dennis Rodman, as we have mentioned, doing what he does best. Steve, you call him a specialist. And we talked with several people yesterday about whether or not he's been a distraction or not. The opinions are varied, but one thing is for sure. There is an intimation that Dennis Rodman doesn't care about the welfare of this team. He is very much concerned about the welfare of his team and about how well his team performs out on the floor.
Now, Rodman does a lot of unusual things on and off the floor, but the one thing that he brings is a competitive spirit, and he likes to win. We're seeing an example of it today. He has brought that emotional fire to the top, and it's brought positive results. He even chipped in a few bonus points, so it doesn't look like he's really just a specialist.
He's not a distraction to his team. They're numb to his antics out there. What he does is he doesn't come focused on getting his job done, and he doesn't play well consistently enough at this time.
There's the whistle. See, I disagree with you on that. I think that he does know exactly what he wants to do as far as whether his performance is up and down. That's a given with any athlete. But whether or not he's determined to do as well as he can, I think he comes to do that every day.
I don't think so. I think he comes in worrying too much in casual situations about the extracurricular activities, not taking care of business.
Well, that foul is on Hakeem Olajuwon, and that's number 4.
Well, Robinson just got his third. They tried to come back to Olajuwon, and they got hooked up at the elbows, and this will result in a technical against Rudy T. But right here, the position. Now watch David Robinson fall away. Now these guys have gotten so good that almost at any kind of contact, you're able to say there was a foul. Olajuwon and Rudy not happy.
The elbow there slipped up a little bit, made contact with the face.
Sean Elliott missed the tee.
It's not like these guys are trying to hurt each other.
Well, that's true, but
it's not like Mahorn and those guys laying beer.
It is a non-contact sport.
I like
theoretically, but practically, there's tons of contact out there. That's what makes it great.
27,
Charles Jones into the lineup now for Chucky Brown. Hakeem stays on the floor with 4 personal.
Well, Olajuwon, when he had 2 early, went to Rodman to stay in the game. They'll probably have him guarding Rodman now. And that takes him out of the middle quite a bit. Here's where they got to stop the play. The pressure on the ball against Del Negro and Vinnie Johnson.
Robinson going against Charles Jones. Inside, got the bounce. David Robinson has 17. The Spurs lead 69-53.
If Hakeem helps too much, that'll free up Rodman all the more.
Drexler on the way. No, and a follow by Robert Horry. That doesn't count.
J.R. Reed in, and his right-hand man, Jack Haley, jumps on top of his back. You keep him away from the official.
See, that's what Dennis Rodman wants. He wants the crowd on him and not cheering for his own team. A little hip underneath. That defensive move mastered by Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, picked up by some of the younger players.
Yeah, they watch TV like you used to, too.
Coming up on 3.5 to play in the third. Spurs lead at 69-55. J.R. Reed into the lineup for Rodman.
Yeah, Elliott's feeling the ghost now. After being out of the game, he's now found out that he can go by any of the people that are defending him. Just flew by Robert Horry.
Olajuwon, and Robinson got a hand on it. Del Negro breaks out.
David Robinson's defense superior at this point, staying down on the ground.
And the fans not at all pleased here in the Summit. Robinson off the baseline. And Olajuwon has the rebound. Robert Horry, finally.
You can't score if you can't get the ball, and he had a tough time getting the ball from Chucky Brown. They finally get it, and he goes over Sean Elliott.
Rockets have scored 12 points this quarter.
Del Negro with the left hand. Here come the Rockets. Trexler.
They won't go down. I mean, he has been on range, but it's been in and out, spun out. Tough decision to pull up on a break and try for a three.
He's had better looks tonight than he had in Game 3, second half.
2 minutes to play in the third.
Shot clock.
He's at 3, and Avery Johnson going to throw it up from long range off the mark.
Poor possession for San Antonio.
What the Rockets have to do is come back and reestablish Olajuwon. He has not been able to get numbers going, and he is their big force at the offensive end. That's missed, an easy two, and they're going to get a foul against Robert Horry.
The basket counts. Horry tripped, and now a technical foul on Robert Horry. Horry tripped Avery Johnson, who was trailing the play. Just as Del Negro scored, and now Rudy Tomjanovich is upset.
Horry, said he's under control, just wants back out on the floor, but the play came right here as he ran into Avery Johnson, and it wouldn't have been quite so bad if he hadn't given him the push. So Robert Horry compounds the play. They get two. They're going to get a technical.
As you saw on that replay, Avery Johnson ran into the path of Robert Horry. We'll sort things out some more when we come back.
Emma, seems like we've known each other forever.
Yeah, I know. 2 weeks.
Will you marry me? 'Cause Emma, I love you, man.
Oh, Johnny, you're not getting my Bud Light.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Johnny?
Make it a Bud Light.
Jane?
It's Joan.
Jane, Joan, whatever. I feel like I've known you forever.
This Memorial Day,
hang on.
If you're looking for fun, welcome to the party. The critics say Die Hard is fun with a vengeance.
I'm having a wonderful day.
Willis and Jackson are dynamite. A fast and furious thrill ride.
Very cool stuff.
Bruce Willis, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yippee-ki-yay, the biggest movie of the year. Holy tomato. Rated R, now playing at theaters everywhere.
This year, thousands of people will invest in the promise of new technology. The promise of an integrated safety system to help guard against the unexpected. A sound chamber capable of lowering noise levels by 30 decibels. Plus a built-in operation sensoring system to improve performance. The 1995 Toyota Corolla, recognized for over 25 years of progress as the benchmark of quality and the place where promises are kept.
The car on the right was filled with Castrol Syntec, a full synthetic oil, the other with conventional oil. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it leaves a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oil. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't. Try Castrol Syntec, now also available in a 10W30.
Tonight.
Who are they? What do they want?
The aliens are back, and this time they brought their friends with them.
Stop!
Sequest, NBC Tonight.
There is Robert Horry, who is guilty of a foul on the last trip down court that I am not at all sure is a correct call, Steve.
From this angle, it looks certainly like he pushed Avery Johnson, who ran across in front of him. From another angle, we go to your side, and you'll see Avery Johnson cut right in front, and the collision is created by Avery Johnson, but he did pull.
A sneaky little play by the trickster Avery. Robert Horry, like the rest of the Houston Rockets, have lost their poise. Technical fouls left and right. These are the world champions. They've got to come out and play basketball, make shots, play defense.
Vinny Del Negro will shoot the technical. It is 74-57, San Antonio.
A poor third quarter in game 3 cost them a chance to go up 3-zip, and they're having the same kind of struggle here in game 4. They get a technical for Avery Johnson.
This is going to be a 4-point play.
Avery Johnson has one shot.
One shot.
That turns out to be a 3-point play. 74-57, a minute and a half to play here in the third quarter. And Sam Cassell had to call timeout. He got no help in the backcourt, and that's what Rudy Tomjanovich is talking to Mario Elie about.
You mentioned earlier, Greg, the changing defenses confusing Houston. Bob Hill, one of 6 coaches to win 60 games in his first year, doing the job today.
Sam Cassell made the mistake of picking the dribble up too soon, and now he has no place to go with the basketball and no one to pass it to. No friends help him out, and it causes a timeout to be burned.
We'll take a quick break and come back to Houston in just a moment.
I know there really is something about being a soldier. It started the moment I got here. The word can't vanished. This was advanced training. This was the training I came in for. My folks are proud of what I've done. I'm proud of who I am. I'm a soldier.
There's Sam Cassell of the Houston Rockets. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dennis Rodman, a little bit upset his last time down court. Walked over and whacked the camera, and there is the lens.
That's how he broke the lens. The frustration of having the call go against him. Looked like he did more than break the lens. That one might have to be thrown away. The rim is all dented and everything.
But that's the camera that makes him famous. What's he destroying his platform for?
He didn't know it. We better tell him.
Bill, we've elected you to deliver the bill to Mr. Rodman.
I'll be glad to, yes.
Let's see if the Rockets in the 126 here can reestablish themselves in trying to get some offense before the fourth quarter starts. They got to go to Olajuwon. He's got Terry coming on his back.
Chuck Person with the takeaway.
Rockets have just tightened up unbelievably.
Well, that's poor decision-making on their part. If you got Olajuwon, then you got to come back to a set that makes sure he gets a look at the ball.
Oh, yeah, Doc Rivers draws the foul against Cassell.
Number 10 for the Rockets, Sam Cassell picks up his second personal. Doc Rivers has 2 shots.
This smells a lot like the Western Conference semis a year ago, in which The Phoenix Suns walked in here, won 2 games, looked like they were going to blow things out. The Rockets turned it around, win 2 at Phoenix, and eventually went on to win the 7-game series.
Doc Rivers playing terrific ball. Was an all-star in '88 for Atlanta, where he spent 8 years. Also, he does have the playoff record for most assists and a half at 15.
The Rockets right now are trying to attack this pressure from the wrong spot, and Drexler dribbled the ball off the foot of one of the Rockets, but they got to get the ball in the middle of the court, and then they can get easy layups, and they're trying to attack it from the side, a long pass cross court. That's going to be intercepted.
12 points in the quarter for Houston. Won't get it done no matter where the game is played.
Reed fouls Jones from behind.
Number 7, J.R. Reed picks up his second personal.
Elijah looking to pass all the way, and Charles Jones makes one of those good cuts, but this is terror for him. He's not a good free thrower. See if he gets anything.
Get out.
I think that's called a facial as well. Charles Jones, magnificent in game 1. Really not much since then, but they don't expect to get much from him.
45 seconds to play here in the third. 76-58, San Antonio. Del Negro. Oh, are we seeing a more aggressive Vinny Del Negro?
9 in the quarter for Del Negro.
And 15 for the game.
Trapping in the backcourt. J.R. Reed is going to double team whoever has the ball.
Well, they need to have some people cutting to the basket now. Even though their game is setting up the inside-outside, they got to go to the basket. That one slapped away.
Terry Cummings with the block. The bounce pass for Cummings, who is shoved by Charles Jones.
Body language tells you one team knows they're going to win, and the other team knows that they've lost it. Del Negro leading Terry Cummings, and even when you're up in age, you can run for a layup. Terry Cummings, a little bit younger than Charles Jones, will go to the line.
The Spurs have opened up a 20-point lead.
Cummings was Rookie of the Year himself. Back to the San Diego Clippers.
And he misses the first. Here's Pete Chilcutt, who was replaced in the starting lineup by Chucky Brown today, making his first appearance of the afternoon.
Makes it tough in your front court rotation for Rudy Tomjanovich's decisions between Chilcutt, Charles Jones, and Chucky Brown.
Last seconds of the third. And Clyde's going to run out of time. So things not happening well for the Houston Rockets at all after 3 quarters of play. Meanwhile, Avery Johnson and Vinny Del Negro have combined for 17 points and 8 assists, and the Spurs lead it by 20. We'll come back to Houston right after these messages and a word from your local station.
Baseball sure has changed, Junior.
Yeah, the Hexagon replaced the diamond.
And can you imagine facing 3 pitches?
Emerson on base. Oh, the base ejector got him snoozing. He goes
Why did it all change?
All sport. The game just got too easy.
The unsurpassed taste of all sport. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy could make a difference.
Next up,
your grandson's up.
Ken Griffey IV. He connects. It's going. It's going. Watch out, center point. Oh!
Center Bliss got him.
He was robbed.
All sport body quencher. The game will never be the same.
From its idealized engineering to its sculpted aerodynamics, Celica has been designed to be as beautiful to drive as it is to look at. The 1995 Toyota Celica, including the all-new convertible. What else would you expect from a company that approaches manufacturing as an art?
You've done it over and over again, in practice, in your mind. Focus. Now it's all there. The balance, the elbow, the follow-through. Focus. You can tell as it leaves your hand. It's so right. Your teammates anticipate it. And your opponent, he fears it. Because he knows that there will be no rebound.
Kathy Ireland, Danger Island, NBC Tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, your education vacation is now boarding at Columbus State.
Many of our summer classes can be completed in 5 weeks or less. First class fare is only $55 per credit hour, and financial aid is also available. For a 2-year technical or transfer degree program or career builder courses, book your education vacation today.
Welcome on board. Thank you for choosing Columbus State.
Columbus State, we have your future in mind.
The race is on for spectacular deals on every new Dodge in stock. Current owners get up to $23.60 off 95 Dodge Caravans, including air at no extra charge. Or get a great deal on Dodge Dakota and Dodge Ram, the pickups with higher resale than Ford, Chevy, or GMC. So get to your Dodge dealer today, because with deals this big, these Dodges will be going fast.
You're watching WCMH4, the news channel in Central Ohio.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Back at the Summit in Houston at San Antonio by 20, top of the fourth quarter. It's always guest cameraman time. And Bill Walton, who is that man?
That's Evander Holyfield.
You betcha.
Heavyweight champion of the world on his way down to take care of Steve Jones. A little pop. Little pop right to the face.
Yeah. Former two-time heavyweight champion beat Ray Mercer last week in an unanimous decision. Congratulations, Evander. Meanwhile, Clyde Drexler, as the Rockets come off a 13-point quarter in the third. We talked about the necessity of Clyde getting it done in support of Hakeem at the start of the day.
And he's got to put the first 3 quarters behind him. Yeah, you're down 20, but hey, you got to turn the whole game around to get the team confidence back. Even if you can't win this game, you got plenty more basketball to play.
Now, defensively, let's see if they can control the pick and roll that really worn them out in the last 2 ball games. Del Negro has been able to do too much of that. Rodman misses, but gets a second one.
He gets 2 rebounds in the basket.
8 points for Rodman. 80-58, San Antonio. Pete Chilka. And that shot has not been there for the Rockets all afternoon.
The Rockets like to shoot 3-pointers after the ball's gone into Olajuwon, and the defense is reacting, and the defense hasn't had to react.
Rockets just 1 of 9 3-pointers today. The shot clock is at 5. Elliott on the baseline, batted out of bounds by Cassell with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, Greg, during the end of the quarter, Rudy Tomjanovich basically stood silent during that entire timeout, that entire period. He finally spoke up. He said, we only scored 13 points in that quarter. We didn't get to be champions by reacting to every little thing that goes on the court. Let's play with some poise this quarter, and let's just see what happens.
Greg? All right, Jim, Steve, and Bill pointing out the Rockets did appear to lose their poise. An illegal defense ball against the San Antonio Spurs. That's the second of the day, and that results in a free throw for Houston.
Greg, this game has reached the level that a lot of people thought that the whole series would be played at. Hakeem and David awash, their 2 brilliant games, canceling each other out. And then the superior depth, the superior talent of the rest of the players. And in the absence of Clyde Drexler's brilliance, Houston's chances are fading.
Cassell hits the free throw. Well, Houston is faced with not only having to come up with a big offensive quarter, but a big defensive quarter. Otherwise, San Antonio goes home with momentum in a 2-game winning streak.
After 2 out of the next 3 games in San Antonio.
Sam Cassell.
That's what we thought when the Rockets came home, that they had momentum, and that hasn't proved to be the case so far. But if the Rockets are going to have some success, not only in the fourth, but in Game 5, Robinson throws one down. They have got to reestablish Olajuwon. David Robinson has now figured out how he can hurt Olajuwon by facing the basket, and Olajuwon's got to get back inside.
The Rockets just look confused.
Olajuwon working for his shot. 82-64. Hakeem has 17.
Olajuwon scores 2 points in the third. This has been their horse. He came into the series averaging almost 40 a game, and they have gone away from him.
If you're San Antonio now, you just concentrate on offense. Just score 15 or 20 points down the rest of the game. There's little, if anything, Houston can do.
More offensive-minded Avery Johnson with 14 points. Wild shot by Cassell, and he comes back and commits the foul on Robinson.
When is David Robinson the best? When he's out on the floor and plays like a forward, he blows by Olajuwon for a two-hand throwdown, and Olajuwon showing he can dance outside as well. It's a fadeaway.
9:32 to play in the game. The Spurs by 20. This is the NBA on NBC.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Playoff Moment takes us back to Game 4 of the 81 Western Conference semifinals between Houston and San Antonio. And the Spurs' George Gervin, the Iceman, scorched the Rockets with 33 points on a variety of shots. The Spurs pulled into a 2-2 tie in the series. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Well, Calvin Murphy was a member of the Houston Rockets back then. There's Calvin.
Calvin, in the seventh and deciding game of that series, erupted for 42 points, his career playoff high.
He could shoot the ball a little bit, couldn't he?
As well as any little man that ever played the game. And better than any big man.
Del Negro for Johnson. Looking to make up some ground. Rodman now on Olajuwon up top. Hakeem, too short.
They have no movement, and it's coming over the top, and they have nobody to get in and rebound. So San Antonio is able to control the offensive flow and their defense.
David Robinson, though, starting to play like the MVP, dominating the defensive boards.
Sean Elliott got a gift there on the offensive rebound. You know, guys, maybe these Rockets just aren't comfortable when they're leading a series.
In the paper today, they said maybe they need to hear a few boos. They've heard some of those. They didn't react, and some have even tossed out the idea they need to be behind, but they had a golden chance to at least come out with a third win here at home. Haven't done it, and Olajuwon spinning David Robinson around for the first time in that.
The battle of the boards is not much of a battle at all. San Antonio has out-rebounded Houston 50-28.
That's energy. Dennis Rodman led the way this afternoon. They wanted the ball more. They went after it. They did the things to control the glass, and Rudy's going to have his team make an adjustment.
And what was on the blackboard in the San Antonio locker room? Live bodies. Live and active bodies is what the Spurs need today, and they've gotten that.
Chilcutt steals a rebound. Mario Ellie hits a three. Now I think they call that a two. 86-68. San Antonio.
Terrific defense, Drexler.
See, they're in a scramble offense, and their best guy scrambling is Sam Cassell, but he's got to do it off the dribble, and they haven't done that yet.
Mismatch underneath. The basket and the foul. Pete Chilcutt found himself guarded by Avery Johnson.
Chilcutt almost sheepish in going and attacking the basket at this point.
Chilcutt looks to complete the three-point play and does. 86-71, 15-point lead for San Antonio.
You know, there's still life for the Houston Rockets, but they got to be able to make the San Antonio Spurs a perimeter team. They cannot give up layups. Nobody got to Dennis Rodman. He goes coast to coast for an easy two.
The lob, batted away by Sean Elliott. Let's go back to Dennis Rodman running the floor.
Something that Bob Hill really wants Dennis Rodman to do is finish at the hoop. Such an unselfish player, always looking to pass. Finally lays it in.
Olajuwon told Cassell to clear. He wants all the room to work against David Robinson.
Drexler, Hakeem, baseline shot is good. 20 points for Olajuwon. 88-73 Spurs.
Two-man basketball between Drexler and Hakeem, but if San Antonio just keeps any sort of offensive flow going,
the efforts kill them. Layups, and then when they miss the layup, Rodman, Sean Elliott are there for the tip. Rodman gets his 6th of the quarter. That's 12 on the afternoon.
Dennis Rodman has 17 rebounds, and 10 of them are offensive.
Oh, beautiful post-entry pass.
Drexler. And Robinson pulls down his 14th rebound.
They go to the high pick and roll with Rodman. Again, intricately involved in the offense.
Yeah, when you can't shoot, set a screen. What Dennis Rodman can do, though, is go to the glass, and he follows Avery Johnson. There's nobody there to guard Avery Johnson. Nobody boxes Dennis Rodman. The results, 2 more points.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Jeep, makers of Grand Cherokee, Cherokee, and Wrangler. By Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And by Red Wolf Lager. Really red, really smooth. Follow your instincts.
Well, Turbo does some mighty impressive things between breaks here at the Summit in Houston, and you thought you were acrobatic.
I am reminded so much of Steve Jones's game when I come to these NBA games in the 90s.
Oh, is that the uniform?
No, the hair.
90-73, 6:15 to play in the game. Take a look at the rebounding. Dennis Rodman with 10 off the offensive board. Olajuwon doesn't get it to fall. Batted up. Chilka keeps it alive, recovers, and draws the foul.
Drexler kept the first one alive and then took a huge fall, and you heard that thud, and that was Drexler going to the ground. He keeps this one alive, and then Olajuwon comes in and knocked him down. He took a crash, and Pete Chilcutt, the garbage man, there to clean up. Could be another 3-point play for Pete in the quarter.
That is 5 personals now on David Robinson. Pete Chilcutt, who didn't get the start today, has lit a fire under the Rockets here midway through the 4th quarter.
Usually when Rodman starts tapping that ball,
Robinson going to the basket through the foul.
Boy, you got a 2-on-1 coming at you with Dennis Rodman and Robinson trailing. There's not much any defender can do. And that includes Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the truly great defensive players in the history of basketball.
The problem, again, on that play, no one stops the ball. If you don't stop the guy with the ball, you're going to be able to make plays for David Robinson. And Rodman is just tearing right down the center of the court and getting deep into the paint.
David Robinson, 8 for 9 from the free throw line of 20 and 14 days so far. .45 to play, 91-76, San Antonio.
Soft perimeter defense. Chilcutt can hit that 3.
And Robinson comes down with it.
David Robinson has found his rhythm for his entire game. Rebounding, passing, defense, shooting. That's a bad sign for Houston.
The worst sign is that right now San Antonio has found confidence in all of their people. Now the Rockets are going to have to answer.
What a poor possession offensively, though. It's nothing except a bailout shot to beat the clock.
Olajuwon around and out. And here comes Johnson on the push. Robinson too hard. Loose ball foul, and this will go against the Rockets. And, you know, down the stretch here, maybe it doesn't say so much about this game, but what sets the tone for Game 5 Tuesday night in San Antonio.
That's why you never stop playing if you're the Houston Rockets. You got to get your game going. You got to put the fear back in San Antonio that they had when they came over here just 3 hours by car.
It's aggression, and the team in black has all the aggressiveness that they need to get the victory, and the team in white trying to get it back, and Mario Elie, he threw an elbow, but didn't get called for it.
Del Negro off the baseline. Rodman with another one. In through the foul.
As Jim Gray reported, Dennis Rodman came to play today, doing everything, saving the ball, not wasting a timeout. Both big men with 5 fouls. Elie tried to goad Robinson into a silly one.
4.5 to play. And a whistle down low. This one goes against the Rockets.
Rockets foul 22.
That's on Drexler.
That's the 5th team foul against Houston.
Second chance points today. Huge difference. That's basically the difference in the game. And a lot of that is Dennis Rodman keeping that ball alive. Houston continues to foul instead of playing good physical defense.
Meanwhile, Vinny Del Negro now with 16 points today was averaging less than 8 a game here in the playoffs, averaged less than 13 a game during the regular season.
Vinny's a terrific free throw shooter. Last year he hit 50 in a row for San Antonio. But he's been up and down so much in these playoffs. Started off good against Denver, but then went way down against L.A.
That one off the hands of Drexler and out of bounds. Here comes Robert Horry.
Nothing going for Drexler right now. He had a good post position, couldn't control the ball. Chilcutt gave him some life. 6 1/4. He goes out. Robert Horry comes back in. But they haven't really been able to pressure San Antonio into making any mistakes down the stretch. They've been able to hold on to their lead.
The double team on Robinson. Avery Johnson. 3-second violation against the Spurs. Dennis Rodman trying to talk Ed.T. Rush into a holding call.
Well, Rodman wants every call, but he hooks up. So he hooks up with people all the time, and then tries to get the official to work his way.
Olajuwon back outside. Cassell for 3. And Cassell lassos the loose ball.
Normally they set their game up with Olajuwon. Good block by David Robinson.
Horry chases it down.
No new shot clock at 10.
Hakeem, line drive. Here comes Del Negro for an easy 2.
I didn't know he could dunk.
At the other end, Drexler comes up hobbling a little bit.
Well, he thought he got kneed, but this has been a game in which they have totally unraveled. Rudy really just needs to take a timeout so they can finish the game with some sort of rhythm.
I think the biggest thing hobbling on Clyde Drexler is his pride and his ego.
Dennis Rodman puts up the 3. And a timeout for Houston. We were talking with Dennis Rodman yesterday, and we asked him how many 3s will he put up today. He pointed to Bob Hill and said, ask him.
Monday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, the Pacers and Magic battle again. Yesterday, Indiana came up big as they held off Orlando down the stretch. Now Reggie and company need another win to even the series. But a victory by Shaq and the Magic puts them one step away from the finals. A special holiday edition of the NBA playoffs, Monday on NBC.
Well, tomorrow we invite you to spend your Memorial Day with us here on NBC. We bring you Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. NBA Showtime gets you started at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 noon Pacific. Shaq Penny in Orlando face Reggie Miller and the Pacers. Orlando leading this series 2-1. The Pacers and the Magic. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow, Memorial Day, 3 p.m. Eastern Time here on NBC. Here's Dennis Rodman, who is pretty much finished for the day. He has his shoes off on the sideline. And comments earlier in the week would have you believe that he's being benched now, Steve.
Yeah, he's through for the day. Yeah, he is good. But
what else do you want him to do?
19 rebounds, 12 points for Rodman. Cassell's 3 is off. And that ball kicked. And the officials missed it. Comes up Terry Cummings, who's fouled.
That's the kind of day the Rockets have had. A kick ball that doesn't go to the officials, and it spurts out. It comes the other end, and Terry Cummings draws the foul. Rudy has taken out Clyde Drexler and Olajuwon. They have played a lot of minutes over these playoff games. He realizes this one's gone, and he's got to get them emotionally right for Game 5 on Tuesday night. Bill, are you coming to that game Tuesday night?
I'm heading right there, Steve. I will be there.
I know you wouldn't want to miss it for the world.
What are you going to be doing?
Probably talking about those two players making a comeback in Game 5.
Vinny Del Negro leaves the court. What a terrific afternoon Del Negro has had. 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists.
Terry Cummings has put so much work into making his career complete. What he really needs now is that championship. The first rookie since Abdul-Jabbar, when Cummings was a rookie back in '83, to be in the top 10 in both scoring and rebounds.
LA's three-pointer is off. J.R. Reed with the rebound.
This was a dominating effort by the San Antonio Spurs this afternoon, and they've got to be thinking Game 5. They've got the series back in their favor and under control.
That foul is on Jean Hama.
San Antonio has talked all year about the championship. It's not been about individual records, even though they got all those with the best regular season record. David with the MVP. Bob Hill, consideration as Coach of the Year.
And talk about the defense, the effort of the Spurs. Their defense will keep the Rockets well below 100 points today in Game 3 here Friday night. The final score was 107-102. It was the first time in the entire playoffs that the Spurs had allowed an opponent 100 or more points.
And the first time they allowed an opponent to shoot 50%. You win big time with great defense. The Spurs have it.
Now the Rockets have had a terrible ball game, and you look at the 11 of 12 misses here coming down the stretch, but a lot of it's been due to the pressure of the San Antonio Spurs. Their shot selection hasn't been real sharp, and you can hear the roar in San Antonio. Jack Haley coming into the ball game.
The Spurs fans giving a guy who makes as big a noise as any over there on the bench and really doesn't get very many playing minutes.
But his teammates love him. I'm just surprised that Jack doesn't have a lot better tan. I mean, that's the Kiki Vandeweghe color right there.
I thought basketball was an indoor sport.
Oh, it is, but there's a lot of hours outside. And the weather in San Antonio is beautiful.
As we will find out. We will see you from San Antonio, the Alamo Dome, Tuesday night. Here on NBC for Game 5. As these teams now look at a best of 3.
Houston has a lot of soul searching to do.
And the road court advantage continues.
The
Let's remember with this team, though, they can look bad and somehow have the resiliency to recover, and they've done it a couple of times. Chucky Brown fouled by Terry Cummings. So soul searching, they may only do about 15 or 20 minutes of that and get on with Game 5.
And we've talked about this before. Rudy Tomjanovich is not the screaming, yelling type, primarily because you said this isn't that kind of team to react to that.
Well, what are you going to tell these guys? Win the game, make all your shots, and don't let the other guys make theirs. These guys have to come and realize that they're the ones that get it done. Players make the plays out there.
Don't yell at me, Bill. I haven't missed a shot all day.
You're undefeated.
A minute 10 to play. Spurs 98. The Rockets 79. San Antonio on the verge of going back home, tied at 2. Jack Haley chases it down. Doc Rivers with the clock running out. And Doc says no problem. His third three-pointer of the day.
Wasn't that the Michael Jordan look back at the sideline saying, well, what else do you want me to do?
Speaking of guys who will have to step up for Houston, Robert Horry.
Houston has been down before and come back all the way. They are the defending champions. They do have Hakeem Olajuwon.
As we said earlier, they may be more comfortable in that role.
What they want to do is get this one over. You know, they had 5 good games in a row. Now they've flattened out, and they want to start all over.
Cummings, and they let that one go. Terry Cummings scores what will be the last basket of this game. Impressive performance by the San Antonio Spurs. They lose the first 2 at home. They come back and they take 2 in Houston, 103-81, and we'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back to the Summit in Houston. The Spurs have tied up the series at 2 apiece. I'm Jim Graham, joined by David Robinson. David, 20 points tonight. You seem to solve Hakeem. How did you stop him tonight?
Solve Hakeem. I don't think you solve Hakeem. You know, I just played him tough, and I mean, you can't score 40 every night. He's human, and so all I can do is play tough on him. I got some good help. We got some good rotations. But I think we're putting the pressure on him up and down the floor. You know, they've got to play 48 minutes, and I think they got a little bit of tired.
Will any team be able to win at home?
Yeah, well, definitely one of these teams is going to win at home. Next game, we go home. That's a big game for us. We got to get it.
All right, David, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks.
Greg?
All right, Jim, so the road court advantage continues. This series is tied at 2, and we'll wrap things up from the Summit when we come back. We remind you that we'll see you again tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Game 4 of Orlando and Indiana. Once again, our final score, the Spurs 103, the Rockets 81. This series tied at 2 for Steve Jones, Bill Walton, and Jim Gray. I'm Greg Gumbel saying so long from Houston. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.
Where America turns for the best in sports television. NBC Sports.